Hey guys, welcome back to Easeldoesitstudio. So as you can see, I have my messy plastic down. We're going to be doing some Power Tex. So let me show you what I've done here. So it's going to be a welcome sign. So this is kind of how I have it set up. But we'll see that more in a minute. Let me just move all this aside. All right. So I had a couple of these boards. You get them at Michael's. It's just a board and it does have the hanger already attached. So I just taped that down. And then, you know this, like sometimes you get pieces of foam when you buy something that the foam like outlines it. Well, I had a couple strips of it. So I just cut a piece and put it around because I want this to be a welcome sign. So I just glued it. I hot glued it so it would stay in place. And then I cut a piece of styrofoam to fit like over that back. So this part was even. So when it hangs, it'll hang flat. And because it's styrofoam, you want to put masking tape on it because it sticks a little bit better. So I'm going to end up Power Texing the sides and then we'll do the back. Probably I'll do that last. But what I did is I used the mix to mold and I made the word welcome. So we're going to put that on here. And then I also did the mix to mold and I did like the flying owl. And he's going to go on here as well. And I have them in the curing machine. On cool. It was on cool. It was just about done. So I can take those out. Oh, and I just broke the welcome picking it up. Of course I did. But that's okay because when we put it down, all right, so there is our little owl guy. And then the welcome is going to go right here. Maybe up in here. I'm not sure yet. So I'm just going to leave this in this mold for right now. Because I don't want to break it anymore. Because I want to get this part here covered. All right, so I'm just going to put him down with all my other little embellishments. So I haven't done a Power Tech video in a long, long time. So I figured I have got to start getting some of this Power Tech stuff that I want to bring to the art walk to sell. Because the Power Tex stuff sold really well. I've only got one fairy door left. So I am going to be making some more of those. So if you'd like to see a video of me making another fairy door, let me know. And I am also going to be making some different fairy houses with a light in it, like small enough that would go on a little girl's bedside table or bureau or something like that. So, and it has a light with a remote. So I want to make that one so like it has windows. All right. So this is, Power Tex is just a fabric hardener. And when I say hardener, I mean it is very, very hard and it is waterproof. And it's non-toxic, but it's sticky as all get out. So I am going to get some gloves. And we are going to at least get this started because I want to get some fabric and some Power Tex down on this before I start adding my embellishments. And I did pull out my bag of rocks. And I even pulled out a little bird because I could dip this in the transparent medium so it would keep its color, but I could also attach it on here somehow. I don't know. It depends where the word goes. So for now, we're just going to put that aside. And I'm just going to start with one piece of fabric. This is just an old t-shirt that you just cut in strips, guys. This stuff is so fun. And what I like about it, you know, it's not like with resin where you want to make sure that you get no bubbles and, you know, all that garbage. Because with this, it's all about adding like texture and layers. So nothing has to be perfect, except for you want your fabric completely coated. And when I had done the ghost back a little before Halloween, one of my ghosts, I hadn't coated all of it, and that ghost kept bending. So I had to come down and add some more Power Tex medium to it. All right, so once you can get, you know, a good amount, you can then like use the medium that you've already got on the well saturated, because you don't want it too wet, because then it's just going to take longer to dry. So if you can keep that where your fabric is completely saturated, but it ain't dripping, you get the best results. And it doesn't take long to dry. Like there's a little bit there. I'm just going to put my hands. All right, so now this is all saturated. And I am just going to add just a little bit with my hands, especially on the sides, because I want to make sure that, you know, this sticks. So I have like 3 or 4 different ideas of doing some different things with the Power Tex. So now last time I didn't do this, and I just wanted to see if it made it any easier. You know, where this is like a piece of wood that's, you know, dry and porous. I know it's going to suck in, but this way I know that that wood is going to be also coated, which will help with the waterproofing. At least in my little pea brain, that's kind of what's going to happen. Now up here, I'm not too concerned, you know, in this little area. But, you know, since we kind of did it on the bottom, we might as well do the whole thing. At least get a little something in there. And it doesn't matter if the tape moves or not, because, all right, I gotta move some stuff around here just to give myself a little bit of room, because I'm gonna turn this sideways. And that way you guys can see what I'm doing. And I put long sleeves on thinking I was gonna do resin today, and then I changed my mind because my hands were, well, not my hands, but my arms were really itchy. And I'm just gonna pull that down over the sides. And that way there, we know that our wood is, you know, completely encased, which will help make it, you know, waterproof. I will probably end up putting a thin layer on the very back after, but I won't do that on film. I'll just, because it's going to be the same way. It's just laying the fabric down and getting it covered. All right, so, and what's good about like the t-shirt material is it's stretchable. I have found t-shirt material works the best. I've used a sheet that gives it more of like a satin finish. And I think once I can put my rope in, because there's going to be rope that's going to go around this top piece. All right. So I don't even have to worry about, you know, if there's any dirt or dust from my sticks. You just create and have fun. And usually I cut my pieces much smaller, but I was trying to get this, because I want the front of this flat. Usually I don't, but because I'm adding the word welcome and that owl, I want it to be completely flat on the front. We can add the texture around it after we get our pieces in. So I figured I'd at least get this started before I start dinner, and then it will give it a chance to dry, and hopefully then we will be able to get it colored. Because I want to do the whole process with you so that you can see. I want to make one that is kind of shaped like a cuckoo clock and make it a clock, but I don't have, I need like a flat animal, like, you know, either another owl or something. I mean, I could probably use, you know, the 3D one, but I think it's just going to make it too heavy. And that's the other thing with this stuff, guys. It's very lightweight. So it doesn't make your pieces heavy. They look heavy when you are looking at them, but they're not. It's very lightweight, which is another thing I like about this. And I am going to try to make a gnome. Yeah, that will be quite a video. I will videotape it so you can see. Maybe I'll even go live when I make the gnome. We'll start it from cardboard right on up. So I'm just kind of making sure that all my fabric, you know, it's all in there. And especially if you're doing like outdoor pieces, you definitely want your pieces to be completely saturated. And that way you don't have any chance of it not, you know, adhering. All right, let me just slide this down. And we're just gonna tuck that. And I'm just gonna roll this up underneath. that. And then I'll just fold and just tuck that underneath like that. So when it dries, it will dry tucked underneath. You know, I don't mind if this is, you know, like jagged over here, because we're going to have the sticks over here. And whatever you do, make sure this will adhere to anything except plastic. So you definitely, you know, want to make sure that what you're putting it on is, you know, gonna adhere to it. All right, so I'm gonna end up cutting, maybe not. I did not make any numbers. The numbers up in here was an afterthought. Let me just take my stick. And if your fingers start getting too sticky, just have some hot soapy water, which I have on the side here, so that you can rinse your gloves, you know, kind of as you are going. All right, let's just, I'm gonna take that. Just put a little bit more right here. And they do have different colors of this. I do have a discount code for the US distribution center, which is right close to me, which I love. So I don't have to wait for shipping. I can go pick it up. I still do want to do the certified instructor course, but it's a lot of money and I just don't have it right now, but I'm still gonna hopefully be able to do that. All right, now I'm gonna take my rope and we're gonna dip it in the Power Tex. And then we're gonna put our rope in. And then this is going to dry extremely hard. All right, I'm gonna need a little bit more. And you can pour this back into the bottle if you pour too much. I don't know. I try and pour what I think I'm gonna use. All right, now let's just get that pushed in like that. Okay. So let's get our owl. And I did run this in the Resiners curing machine so that I could work with it today to really dry out that moisture in there. So I kind of let it cured and then I just plopped it in there. And now I got to turn it so I can see if and I'm not. I'm way off. All right. Okay, I think that looks good. Now, let's get... Originally, I was going to put the welcome sign here. And then, as I was building this part, because I was like, I don't really just want it square. Then I was like, oh, well, maybe the welcome would fit here. But then I was like, oh, well, if I keep the welcome here, then I could make numbers. So you would have your like house number on it. So I think that's the route that I'm going to go. Let me wash my hands. So I just have like a Dollar Tree cheapy bowl and some hot soapy water. Oop, and I just splashed my face. I mean, like I said, this stuff is non-toxic, but it's messy. So, all right, let's get... Let me, if I can set this on the table, I might be able to unmold it easier. Okay, that's where it broke, but we can stick it back together. Because this stuff works as a glue as well, so I'm not too, there we go. All right. So, all right. And then we'll just color these. I'm just going to turn it again so I can... All right, that kind of, yeah, that looks good. All right. I am just going to coat the back. You don't have to. I'm just trying a different method this time. You know, I could just stick it on there and it would definitely stick to that fabric. But because I know this is going to be, you know, outside, I want to make sure I'm going to have to get a ruler here in a minute because I feel like it's going uphill or downhill here. It is so messy, but so fun. So I'm going to make sure that I have some of that Power Tex where these two pieces meet. And that way there, that will just glue them together. All right, I'll wash my hands again. And then I'm going to turn it so I can look at it head on. All right, that looks good. Oh, crap. All right, so I'm just gonna, yeah, that's about, we're just gonna do finger measurements today, guys. All right. So I'm gonna pour some more of the Power Tex into my bowl because we're gonna start getting our wood pieces on. And I had just kind of went around and like was getting an idea of where I want to put it. Let's see. No, I'm gonna have to do this sideways, guys, because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So, and these are just, I just went through our firewood that we have cut up and stacked in the living room and I just peeled some bark off it. That's all I did. So this is just like pieces of bark, and I'm just going to slather the backs. I mean, the ideal thing would be is to, you know, dip them in, but I'm gonna use a brush to kind of coat. Because I want both sides to, you know, have that Power Tex on. And all right, I think we'll put that one there. So I'm just like buttering bread with your fingers. You know, and you can even have these so that they overlap, you know, if you want them sticking up. Let's see, we'll start with this. And then as I'm working, I'll just keep like pushing it down. I'll probably end up sticking something plastic on there to help hold it when I start letting it dry. So I'm not too concerned right now. I just want to get these in place. Like this has all moss and stuff on it. That's totally fine. You know, and some areas are going to be lifted, which is fine, but that's why we want to make sure that it's completely coated so that wood will now become waterproof. So that's why you want to make sure that you really get it, you know, like this backside is open, and I'm okay with that. But I do want it adhered as much as I can. And then I can stick this little piece in behind. And the pieces that I know are going to be like underneath, I'm going to try and make sure I get the sides. And we'll just stick that piece of wood on there like that. All right. Now, do I put a piece at the bottom to kind of outline it, or do I just take a little all right, I think I'm gonna go with that because I also got some branches that I wanna incorporate. And then we'll probably end up adding some sort of flowers or something. Yeah, we'll put that way. Now, normally I would have made my base, but because I already had this board, I've had them for a while and I just didn't know what to do with them. So I'm like, why don't I use it? And that way it gives me a nice firm surface to start with. Okay. Let's see. And I'm gonna have to cut these. I'm not sure on these yet. So let me I'm just trying to figure out if I want to do up around here with it, or do I want to add some sort of another fabric to make like another dimension. Because I'm going to cover these, the whole words with the Power Tex as well. I'm just kind of letting that adhere. Let's see. Nope. But I do have, let me see here. I have a butterfly and so we could put the butterfly like at the top. Yep, I like that. And these are just little pieces that I made a while ago. I think I did some of these on a video. There we go. I just stuck the end of it in there. And then I can, you know, we can color these any color that we want. Let's see. So that looks about right. Okay. Let me get a few flowers here. And these are just little flowers that I made in the mixed mold. So I use these on my fairy doors. And so I was going to videotape making the welcome and the owl, but I'm like, I'm just pouring it white. So I'm like, nah, they're going to be bored with that. So, no, let's, and I got a little leaf. So these little molds are just like little fondant molds, but they make awesome little embellishments for this stuff. All right, so and I'm gonna grab just a crappy brush, and then I'll just stick it in the water. But I do want to get all of my pieces coated. So this is probably going to be one of my least textured pieces. Because I also don't want to make it, you know, too, I don't know, too busy. So by laying this down first, it is already starting to adhere. So when I'm doing the sides, I'm not worried about it moving around on me. So that was the reason that I wanted to get them laid in place first. And then I'll have to, you know, turn the piece around, obviously, to make sure that I got the edges, but and again, right in where I know that that is the broken piece, I definitely want to make sure that's coated really well. So I was trying to think, you know, like, okay, what can I make that's practical, but yet, you know, still have that, I don't know, like creative flair to it, but yet, you know, something that people would want to put beside their door. So if you make pieces like for these, you're better off to make them, you know, get like a bunch of stuff ahead of time, which I'm going to end up having to do because I've used up a lot of my pieces doing my fairy houses and my gnome doors. So, but I think the gnome is going to be kind of cool. I don't know. I hope I can make it look like a gnome. And then I've been talking to my husband. It's like, okay, what can I, because it's going to be lightweight and I don't want it to blow away. And then I was like, well, do I stick, you know, like you can buy those plastic stakes. So do I have one already attached to the gnome, like in the styrofoam, so that it's, I don't know. That's my my dilemma right now. You know, and it's like the first time you make anything, it's kind of like, you know, with resin or whatever, you don't know what's the best way to do a certain thing. You know, I didn't have to add this. That would have been cute just the way it is. But I wanted a little something extra. Now, I'm just trying to see if, oh, I got to do my owl here. And then what we're going to do with him is I'm going to use the, oh, what is it called? It's like that wax, and it's in with my resin stuff. I can't think of the name of it. But I'm going to highlight him with the gold so that everything, I'll probably do a brown, and then I will use the gilding glue. It's not gilding glue. What is it called? When I'll have the name when I get ready to use it, guys. Sorry, my brain is mush. I have too many projects being built in my brain. as we speak. But I know a lot of people like owls, so I'm gonna have to look for like a flat standing owl, because I want to make it look like he's in a house and yet turn it into a clock. So I've just gotta find some time to start researching what I Right, so, and by doing like this, because it's a flat surface, these heavy pieces will stay in place. If, like when I'm adding heavy things like this on my gnome doors or on my fairy houses, I have to end up using like the clay to get them to stay, because you can mix this with, they have a bunch of different things, and it's I think it's called texture paste, but yeah, you make like a thick clay consistency, and you know, it just kind of helps hold the pieces until everything dries. So the reason I'm coating this is to make it so it's waterproof, because I don't want these pieces of wood, you know, to start cracking and breaking off. So this does not stick to plastic. So if I can't find, you know, like heavy enough things, I will just put some saran wrap over some areas and put, you know, like some bottles or whatever, just to kind of help get these to stay, the areas that I want to stay down. You know, like this area right in here. And once it gets to a certain point, it gets tacky enough that it stays. So this project's not gonna take a lot to bring out some nice color in it. You can use mica powder to color it, and I will show you when we get to that part. I have some of their pigment and I use Mica's, so it's good that you can use you know, some of the things that we already have. Just trying to kind of push these down as I'm working here. All right, so I'm gonna flip this, and that way I can check on the other side. To make sure that I got all my sides. So it like sticks to the plastic, but it doesn't stay. It will peel right off. Yeah, so I missed a lot in which is not, you know, that big of a deal, because we're going to be putting color over it, but I want them to be you know, uniform all the way around, because it's the way the you know, the color is going to show up if you have the same color all the way. Some areas I did good, and other areas I completely missed sections. All right, so that's done. And I missed a few. I got this guy pretty good. I only missed a few little tiny spots. All right. And I'm gonna pour a little bit more. And then what I do is what is in my bowl, and that's why I try to use it all up. This will just peel out of this plastic once it's all dried. And then once we color it, we'll get all that, you know, that texture. We'll have the black underneath, and then we can get the, you know, some of the brown and, you know, whatever color you want to, you could put green, or, you know, where some of these did have some moss. So again, I'm making sure that my edges are completely covered. Because I don't want this you know, and then as this is drying, I can, you know, kind of look at it from different angles and see if I think I should add something more, or if it looks, you know, good the way it is. You can keep adding to it until you put your varnish. And I've actually even added stuff after I've added the varnish, so it's pretty forgiving. And I'm seeing a few little uncovered areas on this. You know, and if it dries and I have a few missed spots, I can always touch it up. All right, so that is looking good. Now I do have different color Power Tex, but I like the black because it gives me that that deep shadow. All right, so how am I looking here? Okay, so that looks pretty good. Making sure that my edges are all sticking down. Okay, these look like they're sticking now. Let me see. I got a couple of other roses that I was thinking maybe I could kind of, because it's already getting like somewhat dry to the touch. I don't know. Let's, all right, I got a couple of leaves. And I just looked at the time and I'm like, crap, I wanted this to be a short video and I'm already almost an hour in, guys. I'm sorry. But it's it's been around for a long time, but it's new in the US. And I think when more and more people try it, I think it's really going to be, you know, a good option. Like, especially with me where I'm having such a hard time with resin. I'm trying, but, you know, it's hard when you want to be able to create something, and, you know, let's see, there, I'll just fill that. There we go. And the clear varnish, the easy varnish is what they call it, that is also waterproof. So it will get a double dose of that. And I'm just going to put these back. I'm not going to use those. I don't want to overdo. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this. I didn't know what I wanted to put on the top here. That's my only, it's my only thing, you know. And then do I want to put, you know, do I want to put a cardinal maybe sitting up on the top? So I don't want to touch him too much with my gloves on, because if I'm going to add him, I'm going to dip him in the transparent medium. So I'm going to take my gloves off, and all right, these are all sticking good. All right, so let me, yeah, I think that looks good. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get some paper cups. And I'm going to put these underneath that wooden, you know, that wood piece that we used, because there's no Power Tex on that, but it's going to keep it lifted up. There we go. So that the air can get underneath, so that the edges can dry. There. So just like that. Look at my hands. All right, I'm just washing my hands here a little bit in my dirty water. And I will be back when this is all cured. Well, not cured, dried. And and then we can start getting it highlighted and colored and all that stuff. Alrighty, guys, I'll be back. Okay, guys, so this is, it's all dried. So we have our Easy Varnish. So I'm just gonna clean this top piece here. Hang on. All right. Cleaned out some little boogies that was in there. So we're just gonna pour a little amount on a plate. I mean, you can put it on your plastic, you can put it on anything you want, but we're gonna put it in the plate. This is what I couldn't remember, the rub and buff. So once I coat him, then we're gonna do the rub and buff on him and really get him to pop. We might even put a little on the flowers. I haven't decided yet. So, let me see. I think I'm gonna start with the brown. It's a dark brown, and this is the Power Tex color. And it's basically just like a powder, nothing. So basically you just stick your brush in and then stick it in your powder. And you can make it as saturated as you want. So obviously I want mine, for my trees, I want it to be, you know, pretty prominent. And then what I'm gonna do is something I've never tried before, but I'm gonna add a little bit of white mica powder to this to see if we can get a few little highlights. Now if you don't want a lot of color, you can just wipe it off on a paper towel and do more of like a dry brush. But I like a lot of color, so I am just rubbing that on. So now our bark is already starting to, you know, take form. And like I said, I'm gonna try mixing some white into it. Now this one's coming out better because there's a little bit more texture there. But, you know, it's all like personal preference. You just kind of, you know, and it's like anything. You know, the next time I do it, will I do some things different? Absolutely. Oh, not, I'm going to have to glue that down. That did not stick. I should have put something there. So I'm just going to wipe my brush off in some water. And let's get a little bit of white mica powder and see if we can that silvery white. I just want a white. You know what? We'll use the silvery white. Whatever. All right, so this is just a little of the silvery white. Like I said, I don't know, you know, if this is going to work, but let's try it. So it's actually looking a little red, or a little purple, I should say. All right, so let's let me get my just regular white mica powder. All right, I knew I had some plain white. All right, I'm just gonna, we'll stick it in. And we'll go back into the brown. And I'm going to brush it a little sideways. And by sticking your brush in, it's not going to contaminate your mica powder. All right, so that's just kind of giving that a little bit of a lift. And I don't want to take all the darkness away. I am going to put a little over that purple because, you know, we really don't need a purple bark. And then I can also add a little bit of that rub and buff. All right, so let's clean that. I am going to take that brown and I am just going to go over the owl. Because I do want him to have a little bit of different color so that when I put the, I'm going to use the gold rub and buff because I figured that would look kind of cool. So I do want him to be a little bit more brown than black. And I don't even know, like, what color I'm going to do this right off the bat, so. All right, I'll wash a stick. And I'm going to go into some red. Because I want the rose to be more of a red. And I am going to color this in all the way. And I'm going to try to get the edges. So I'm just gonna, and the reason I'm doing red is because my house is like a reddish color, and I haven't made any numbers yet, so now you can actually even use, you know, acrylic paint if you wanted. But I'm just trying to get like a little, you know, just a little something. You know, so I can make these to whatever would match, you know, your house or whatever. All right, so I'll wash that. And let's go in, let's get some, I'm gonna go back into the white because I wanna do the, these flowers just in white. And I'm just gonna just add a little tiny bit of some white highlights. All right, now I really can't see what it's looking like because I'm sitting sideways to it, but I'll be able to hold it up here in a minute. And let's get some green. And I'll kind of get some of the little green leafies. All right. Let's see. I think I'm going to use the silvery white on the butterfly here at the top, because that made like a really pretty purple. Maybe it was the color that it was mixed with, I don't know, but let's find out here. Oh yeah, look at that. And that's just the silvery white by Let's Resin. And that made us that beautiful purple. And I'm just going to put a smidge on these with that white. All right, now what color are we going to do the welcome sign? That is the million-dollar question. Do I do it just in the red? Let me see if I get another red mica powder. I've got this red. So we can highlight the rose with this red, and then we can see what it looks like. So when you're using mica powder, you do use a little bit more pigment than you do the Power Tex color. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm gonna do a bronze. I'm just gonna, whatever's in my brush, that way the numbers will kind of look the same. I'm gonna wash this out. And let's get one of the metallics. Copper, gold. Let's do a bronze. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of this bronze through the trees as well. So again, just stick your brush in, find a clear place, and then oh yeah, I like that. Now, how I got some green in there is beyond me, but that's all right. I'll just put a little bit more bronze in that section. Not a big deal. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that bronze and this will take about 2 weeks to be fully cured, that you could put it outside. And I'm just gonna add some of this just kind of bringing those colors together. All right, and just giving this just a bit more. Okay, so let's clean that brush out. And I'm just rinsing that in my dirty water, guys. All right, so let's get, this is my cover right here. All right, so let's take a little bit of this rub and buff. And now I haven't decided if, I think I'm gonna make like some numbers. I'll put my number on here. And then I'll just do the same color as that. So this is just the rub and buff. It's like a wax. So you just kind of wipe it on your finger, and then you just kind of go over the high spots. And then you still have all that dark color underneath. To give you that dimension. And this goes a long way, guys. All right. Let's see. That looks good. Now I'm wondering, there's no high spots on this, but I'm wondering how this would look. So you just kind of wipe it pretty much off. And then when this dries, this is a permanent, you know, color. All right, I guess I need a little bit more. And this does have a funky smell, but it's not that bad, guys. just trying to get just a little. You know, anywhere we can add a little highlight just kind of gives it that extra little bit. All right. So I will have to put some more Power Tex underneath this piece here. But these are all nice and firm. So now what I'll do is I'm just going to put some fabric and Power Tex over this and just let it dry like that. I'll probably cut this piece off. And if you're going to use Power Tex, keep a designated pair of scissors for the Power Tex, because they do trash your scissors. All right. And then when I add the other fabric, I can put some Power Tex in here. And then we can just untape this and we'll have our little hanger piece. So let's see. All right, I'm gonna get my container. I might as well just do it so you can see the whole step. Get some gloves. I have some smaller pieces of fabric already cut up. Yeah, so I can just do something like that. I'm just trying to find some shorter pieces if I've got shorter pieces. So let's see. And we can bring this like this. Bring this down. And I'm just basically like kind of dry fitting some of the fabric. So it will give me an idea of how much I've got to cut. And like I said, I'm trying to make sure that any of this that is going to get exposed is covered. And we can move that. And we can open that, so that will work there. All right, and then if I have to cut just a little tiny piece over here, we can do that. All right, so let me get my Power Tex. And this is the medium-sized bottle, guys. Then they have, it's a 5-liter container, and that's the one I would suggest getting because it's the better value. And like I said, it doesn't matter what color that you use because, you know, you can color it whatever color you want afterwards. All right, so, but see when you have a smaller piece, how much easier it goes. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of get this wood covered, so if there's any you know, anything that runs down in the back, I know that wood is going to be protected. And it doesn't matter if this is all rough or not, because it's the back. You want to make sure that you're getting your material all basically covered. And see how this stretched right out, so I don't even have to add any more. I'm just going to add a little bit to kind of make sure that that stays down. And you can use a blow dryer and pre-dry this. That's, you know, not a big deal either. More. And you want to make sure that you wipe your cover of your bottle before you're all done. They do sell a opener for specifically for their bottles, and if you're going to buy it, I would suggest you get it, because that thing is a lifesaver. And I just used it today. And do you think I can find it? Oh, of course not. No. Nope, 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 I can't. Because when I came down, I was like, oh, I want to show them, and yeah, I can't find it. So now we're just going to kind of overlap, and then we'll just leave it to dry. And like I said, it's the back, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. You just, you know, you just kind of want to make sure that you're getting, like here, there was more fabric, so I don't have to worry too much. Although I do want to get it up over that wood if I can. There we go. And if it rolls, it will dry like that. It's fine. And so I'm going to put this. I'm going to cut this because I don't need this whole big piece. Let's see. That will be enough for there. So, I mean, literally, you can put this together and, you know, within a half an hour, you can be putting color on it. I just ended up going up and making dinner, so, you know, mine was a little bit more. As long as it's dry to the touch, you can color it. Now I don't want to, I want that around that covered, but I don't want, and probably what I'll do, but I'll do it off camera. Once everything is done, I will just put a thin coat over the back. And, you know, that's all I would do. But, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to. And I do want to put some more underneath there. And we'll just, I'll put the bottle. There we go, guys. All right, let me take my gloves off. So what I will do is I'm going to let this dry, and then I will, you know, kind of show it hanging with the rope undone so that you can get a better look of what it's going to look like. But right now I want to make sure that that stays adhered and that the back dries. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, if it's something you would be willing to try. You know, like I said, it is so much fun. And I'm just going to put a little bit on my finger. Let me find a... I'm just going to add like a little bit with the bronze and the gold. I just figured it might bring it all together by having the different colors. But definitely make sure you smudge it, because if not, you're going to get too much. Yeah, so that just needed that little bit to get it to adhere it down. All right, I gotta pick this up. And that is our welcome sign. So I'm just gonna leave it like that so this can dry, and then I will get some final pictures, guys. Alrighty, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.